So fitting boost components, at the moment I don't have those, so I just simply need to unplug these three connections here, and obviously my bullets, which are from a Lambda, and take it inside. Now I've disconnected that, it's also worth saying that I need to go into A11. As you can see, that's the exhaust gas recirculation solenoid valve, although that isn't actually connected on this. You can also see it's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th from the left, and you also see here it's actually not connected to anything, so I will need to insert a pin in that connector to go into A11, and then I'm going to open up this and show you. This is everything you need to do the boost component install on a P28 ECU. So these are the actual boost components, and I will list out what's actually in them, but it's nothing too complicated. You just need to install these into your P28. The other things you need is a nice soldering iron. I've actually bought this one especially. It's quite nice because it comes with this holder, and obviously this reel as well for the solder. This is nice, thin. I'm going to stab myself with it. Little ended soldering iron, variable temperature control, and then we've got some flux, a solder sucker to remove the old solder, so you can pop it in, heat it up and flip out the end and it'll suck that out. Some snips, screwdriver to pop the end off. After this I'm going to put the 4-port boost solenoid in. That's going to be a separate video, so first of all I'm just going to get on with taking this top off. So that's the last of these screws to take out. Then we'll just pop the cover off like so, and as you can see, this has already got the S300 V3 already installed, and it's my job just to place these components. The guide I'm going to be using to do this whole thing is from HA Motorsports. I'll put a link in the description, but it takes you through step by step. This is just basically a video version of the information they give on the website, which is very good, and the pictures are very good as well. You can see in one of these pictures here, is that close enough, that 4 of the 5 components are all just clustered in a very small area, so they're actually marked on here as well. If you look, you can see they're all actually marked. We've got D14, Q29, R70 and R71. So that's why I've got this little sucker. So what I'm going to do is, now this is heated up, I'm just going to go in with the soldering iron, depress the plunge on the sucker, then once it's heated up I can just press the button, and then that will just suck the solder into there. It'll solidify again, and I can just pop that solder out. So that's what I'm going to do to all these components. You can see now they're actually glazed over with solder, so I'm just going to desolder these. I'm going to show you the full solder sucking experience. So first of all, you get your solder sucker, press the plunger, and then just come in here. What you want to do, I haven't got this massively hot at the moment in terms of my soldering iron. I don't want to put too much heat into the board. There we go. Now you can see I've got 3, where my fingers are, 3 clear holes. So I just need to desolder the rest of the board in the places stated. The first component I'm going to install is this large Mosfet transistor. So I'll just take it out of the packaging like so. So the black face facing you. So it's going to go in here like so. So I'm just going to have to turn this over and unscrew this case. So one of the things I'm going to do is use this flux. I've just stuck it in there. It's got a tiny bit of flux on there, and then I'm going to put it in just like this, and then use the soldering iron just to solder them in place. 3 little dabs of solder on here. Just make sure we heat up the joint nicely. Put a little bit of solder on there. Let it go off. I'll just add a little bit more. Just check it's not going to get in the way of anything on the back. I have to say I'm pretty happy with that. If you see the legs, see how the solder's surrounding the leg, it's all nice and neat. So pretty good. I think a lot of it's down to the soldering iron. The soldering iron I think was around £40, but it's money well spent. The only other one I've got at the moment is gas powered, which wouldn't be very easy to control. So very happy with that. Now on to the next component. Next we have this little diode that needs to be installed, so I'll take that out and place it in the board. So you want to place the stripe side of the diode where your connectors are for the ECU. So I'm going to do a little bend as they do in the instructions, like that. Like I say, there's the stripe side going closer to where the connectors are for the ECU. So now we're lined up to do this diode soldering. I've got a little bit of flux on the back here, and just as before, I'm going to heat up the joint, let it get nice and hot, and then just dab some solder in. That's the first one. The second one. And I've gone to about 400 degrees. Seems to be doing a nice job. I'll add a little bit more solder on this one just to make it look pretty. It's nice. It's both of those components in there. See the long leads. My audio failed. This is the second of the resistors. This is the 330 ohm resistor going into R71s, orange, orange, brown, gold. The one just above it is the 220 ohm resistor, which is red, red, brown, gold, into R70. That's the board with the legs snipped off. I'm just removing the flying lead from the Hondata for the analog inputs, because it gets in the way of the B1030 small transistor, which is going into Q20. First of all, you need to desolder it. This is the transistor itself. It has the numbers on the front of it, and that needs to point towards you as you install it, as it going in. And then this is the board finished up with all the legs snipped off and ready for the casing to be put back together. So after all that soldering, moment of truth, plug the whole thing back in, and let's see if the ECU still runs the car. Well, isn't that a relief? Whew.